Feel like a fraud, even when you're doing well? Like any minute, someone might find out you're not really that talented, not really that deserving. That feeling has a name, impostor syndrome, and it's not rare. In fact, it thrives in some of the most successful people on the planet. The more accomplished you become, the louder that inner critic often gets. This video isn't about theory. It's about unmasking the 12 ways imposter syndrome quietly steals your success, and how to silence it before it costs you your confidence, your creativity, and your potential. Hey there, welcome to WealthWise, where we go beyond money and explore the mindset that sustains true success. Because what's the point of winning if you don't feel you deserve the victory? Today, we'll break down how imposter syndrome hides inside even the smartest, most capable minds, and how you can dismantle it using self-awareness, psychology, and practical systems. By the end of this video, you won't just understand imposter syndrome, you'll know how to reclaim your power from it. The invisible burden. Picture this: you land your dream job, hit a major target, or achieve something you've been chasing for years. People celebrate you, but instead of pride, you feel panic. You tell yourself it was luck, timing, or someone else's help. Deep down you think, I don't really deserve this. That's imposter syndrome, a disconnect between success and self-belief. Even when evidence proves your competence, your mind whispers, you just got lucky. Over 70% of high achievers report feeling like imposters at some point in their careers. That includes CEOs, artists, doctors, engineers, and even billionaires. It's not insecurity, it's a cognitive distortion that undervalues achievement and overvalues fear. The irony? The more you achieve, the harder it hits, because success raises the stakes. The more you win, the more you fear being exposed. Decoding the doubt. Psychologists have identified 5 archetypes of imposter syndrome. See which one resonates with you. 1. The perfectionist. You believe nothing you do is good enough. 2. The expert. You feel unqualified until you know absolutely everything. 3. The soloist. You think asking for help proves incompetence. 4. The natural genius. You expect mastery instantly. Struggle feels like failure. 5. The Superman, Superwoman. You measure worth by how much you can handle at once. Each archetype has one thing in common: fear of not measuring up. And that fear shapes how you show up every day, how you talk, work, create, and connect. It's the invisible hand that holds back your next step. 12 signs imposter syndrome is stealing your success. Let's slow down here, because this is where most of the damage happens. Imposter syndrome doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up in subtle, everyday behaviors that slowly chip away at your confidence and energy. Here are the 12 hidden signs, and how they quietly rewrite your story of success. Sign 1. You downplay your wins. You achieve something, a big client, a project, a promotion, and instead of feeling proud, you explain it away. You say, it was luck, or it just happened at the right time. The problem? When you dismiss your success, your brain never updates its identity. You keep working like a beginner even after earning expert status. Confidence doesn't come from luck, it comes from evidence. And when you deny yourself credit, you erase that evidence. So when someone congratulates you next time, don't deflect. Just say, thank you. Let the compliment land. That's how you train your brain to believe your wins. Sign 2. You overwork to prove your worth. You take on more tasks, stay later, grind harder, not out of passion, but panic. You think, if I just do a little more, maybe they'll believe I belong here. That's the imposter's trap, mistaking exhaustion for excellence. No amount of overworking can fill the void of self-doubt. You can't earn belonging through burnout. Remember, true professionals know their value. They don't have to prove it every hour. Ask yourself, am I working to build something or working to feel enough? Sign 3. You fear being exposed. This is the hallmark sign. You feel like you're walking through life wearing a mask. terrified someone might tear it off. You prepare obsessively, double-check every email, replay every conversation. You think you're hiding weakness, but in reality, you're hiding humanity. Here's the paradox. The people who fear being found out are usually the ones doing the best work. Why? Because imposter syndrome only visits those who care deeply about the quality of what they do. The fix? Shift focus from being flawless to being effective. Perfection hides. Effectiveness serves. Sign 4. You hesitate to take opportunities. You see a great opportunity, and your first thought isn't excitement, it's fear. You tell yourself, "I'm not ready." So you overprepare, overthink, and by the time you feel ready, the opportunity is gone. Imposter syndrome makes you wait for certainty that never comes. But here's the truth: readiness is built, not given. Every confident person you admire once felt unqualified. They just moved anyway. You grow into readiness by acting before you feel it. Sign 5. You set unrealistic standards. Perfectionism feels noble, but it's really just fear of criticism in disguise. You tell yourself, "If I do everything perfectly, no one can find flaws." But that logic backfires. You spend hours tweaking, polishing, overanalyzing, and when it's finally done, you still feel behind. Perfectionism leads to paralysis. Progress leads to power. The WealthWise principle is simple. Progress compounds, perfection collapses. You build mastery through motion, not immaculate moments. Sign 6. You avoid praise. Compliments make you uncomfortable. Someone says, "Great job," and you deflect with, "It was nothing." You think humility protects you, but what it really does is starve your confidence. Praise is data. It's external validation confirming that your effort worked. When you reject it, you delete the data that reinforces self-worth. So next time you get recognition, write it down. Keep it somewhere visible. That's not vanity, that's calibration. Sign 7. You compare constantly. Comparison is imposter syndrome's favorite weapon. You scroll online, see someone else succeeding, and instantly feel smaller. But comparison is always unfair, because you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You see their finished product, not their process. Comparison blinds you to your lane. You lose sight of your progress because you're watching someone else's race. Here's the reframe. You're not competing against people. You're competing against your own potential. Comparison drains energy. Reflection compounds it. Sign 8. You minimize your expertise. You say, "Everyone already knows this." Even when they don't. You assume your knowledge isn't valuable because it feels familiar to you. But remember, what's obvious to you is insightful to someone else. That's why mentors exist. Imposter syndrome makes you think your skill set is average when it's actually rare. This keeps professionals underpaid, creatives undervalued, and leaders underconfident. You don't have to know everything. You just have to know something deeply and share it confidently. Sign 9. You overcompensate. You say yes to everything, projects, favors, extra hours, to prove you're dependable. But that's not dedication, that's depletion. Overcompensation leads to resentment. You give so much that eventually you have nothing left for yourself. Real confidence isn't saying yes to everything. It's saying no to what doesn't align. When you start protecting your time, people start respecting it. So ask yourself, am I saying yes from confidence or from fear? Sign 10. You ignore evidence of success. Your brain has a bias. It remembers the one thing you did wrong and forgets the 100 things you did right. You focus on the 1% flaw instead of the 99% achievement. This is your brain's threat detection system misfiring. It's trying to keep you safe by spotting danger. But in modern life, danger is replaced by criticism. Counter it with data. Keep a success log, real, factual wins, projects completed, feedback received, problems solved. You'll start to see patterns that your feelings can't deny. Sign 11. You feel success is temporary. You hit a milestone and instead of joy, you feel anxiety. What if I can't do it again? That's because imposter syndrome attaches your confidence to outcomes, not process. You think success is a fluke, not a formula. But here's the truth. Success leaves fingerprints. If you did it once, it means you've learned the process, and that process is repeatable. Your wins are not accidents. They're evidence of systems that work. Sign 12. You can't celebrate milestones. You accomplish something big, but before you've even taken a breath, you're chasing the next goal. Celebration feels indulgent, maybe even lazy, but refusing to celebrate teaches your brain that achievement equals emptiness. It creates a loop where you only know how to strive, never to arrive. Celebration isn't distraction, it's documentation. It tells your nervous system, this is who I've become. If you don't pause to feel success, you'll never feel successful, no matter how far you go. These 12 signs don't mean you're weak, they mean you care. They mean you're self-aware enough to question yourself, but awareness without compassion turns into self-sabotage. Impostor syndrome starts as protection, your brain trying to guard you from failure. But if you don't update the story, that protection becomes a prison. The only way out is ownership, acknowledging that you've earned your path and you belong exactly where you are. Which of these 12 signs resonated most? Drop it in the comments. The moment you name it, you begin to neutralize it, shifting your mindset. Now that you can spot it, let's talk about rewiring it. The first step is acknowledgement. You can't fix a feeling you're busy denying. Start by saying, I'm experiencing imposter thoughts, not I am an imposter. That single word change shifts the experience from identity to emotion, and emotions can be managed. Second, build your evidence wall. Collect proof of competence, testimonials, projects, results. When doubt hits, read them. Confidence built on data outlasts confidence built on hype. Third, embrace imperfection. The best in every field fail, repeatedly. It's not the absence of mistakes that defines mastery. It's the ability to recover fast. You're not supposed to be flawless. You're supposed to be evolving. Actionable strategies for success. Here's how to practice this daily. Talk it out. Imposter syndrome thrives in silence. Confide in a mentor or peer. You'll realize everyone's fought this battle. Celebrate small wins. Write down one victory every week, however minor. Over time, it becomes a portfolio of confidence. Set realistic goals. Aim for progress, not perfection. Say no with purpose. Every yes dilutes your focus. Protect it. Redefine failure. View setbacks as tuition, the cost of growth, not proof of incompetence. Remember, success isn't about feeling ready. It's about showing up even when you don't. Owning your narrative. You've done the work. You've earned your place. Imposter syndrome convinces you you're trespassing on success. But you're not. You've built this ground brick by brick. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's honesty. It's seeing your growth without guilt. And it's realizing that even the greats felt this way. Einstein, Maya Angelou, Howard Schultz. All of them questioned their worth, but they didn't stop. So stop waiting for permission to believe in yourself. The world doesn't give confidence, you build it. Start today by acknowledging one thing you've done well, one decision you made that changed your path. You've earned the right to be here. Now act like it. So tell me, which of these signs hit you hardest? Share it in the comments, not to confess weakness, but to remind others they're not alone in this. Remember, self-doubt doesn't make you an imposter, it makes you human. And the moment you learn to work with that voice instead of against it, it loses power. This is WealthWise, where emotional mastery meets financial growth. If this video gave you perspective, subscribe. Not for noise, but for truth. See you in the next one. Confident, calm, and owning your success.